What's good, guys? March Madness has officially begun and it has been downright insane. In this video, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on the first two rounds and some analysis on an abundance of teams that made the Sweet 16. Before we get started, consider hitting the subscribe button for content on all things basketball. And ring the bell so you never miss a video. With that being said, let's get started. The first thing to note is how many phenomenal upsets there have been. We've seen a total of 9 double-digit seeds advance past the first round. These 9 teams include the likes of Ohio, Abilene Christian, UCLA, North Texas, Oral Roberts, and Oregon State. 4 of these teams, with a few more that I didn't mention, have made it to the Sweet 16. These 4 schools are Oral Roberts, Oregon State, Syracuse, and UCLA. One thing that these 4 schools have in common is how easily they are able to get buckets. In fact, I think one of these schools can even advance to the Elite 8. However, we'll get to that in a moment. One incredible sleeper team that wasn't mentioned before is Loyola Chicago. Yes, that Loyola Chicago. So far, the Ramblers have looked incredible with wins over Georgia Tech and number 1 seed Illinois. This team has been led by their do-it-all center, Cameron Krutwig, and tenacious defender, Lucas Williamson. And of course, you can't forget Sister Jean. The fact of the matter is, this team can play anybody. They'll have to tap into the defense that allowed the fewest points per game in the country to get to the Final Four. However, I believe they can do just that, and that it will lead to victories against Oregon State and Syracuse, who I mentioned possibly making the Elite 8 before, leading them to their second Final Four appearance in the last 3 tournaments. Well, folks, they're number 1 seeds for a reason. 3 of them are still dancing, with Illinois being the only exception. Of course, there's the top overall seed Gonzaga. This team punched its ticket to the Sweet 16 with convincing wins against Norfolk State and Oklahoma. Projected top 5 pick Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme have led the way for the Bulldogs, with Timme posting 30 points and 12 rebounds in the win over Oklahoma. Next up is the Baylor Bears. The Bears under 18th year head coach Scott Drew have been led by a 1-2-3 punch of Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, and Maceo Teague. This leadership and experience has led to decisive wins over Hartford and Wisconsin. The Bears are arguably the most complete team I've seen in this tournament. They also have a good amount of depth, with the likes of Matthew Meyer and Adam Flagler coming off the bench. And then there's Michigan. Most people thought this team was an easy out after losing star forward Isaiah Livers to a foot injury. Quite the contrary. Michigan has looked great with victories over Texas Southern and LSU. They have a lot of depth with the likes of Chandre Brown and Eli Brooks, and they know how to hit the 3-ball. In my opinion, however, this team still has the least likely shot at making the Final Four of the remaining 1 seeds, especially if Florida State and Alabama continue playing the way they have been. There have been 2 teams in this year's tournament that have surprised everybody. Well, not just 2, but you get the point. These 2 teams have been Villanova and Houston. Let's start with the Wildcats. Villanova has looked impressive in the absence of leading scorer Colin Gillespie. With blowout wins over Winthrop and North Texas, this team had quite possibly the easiest route to the Sweet 16. It just goes to show that with the right coaching, injured teams can go far in March Madness. Now on to Houston. How do I put this? They've looked okay. They definitely aren't the weakest number 2 seed in the field like we all thought. For starters, they actually beat their first round matchup, unlike a certain state university in Columbus, Ohio that shall remain nameless. However, it's what happened in round 2 that has me slightly concerned. Houston narrowly escaped 10 seed Rutgers by a score of 63-60. It was a win that required a late run by Houston and an injured John Giroux pushing himself to the limit. Really, I'm still not quite sure what this team's tournament identity is. One thing is for certain though, despite early round victories, both Villanova and Houston are going to face a brutal wake-up call in the Sweet 16. You know it's a crazy tournament when the Pac-12 has 4 of its 5 bids in the Sweet 16. So how exactly did we get here? First off, we have Oregon. After a no-contest victory in the first round due to COVID issues within opponent VCU's program, the Ducks obliterated Iowa and National Player of the Year candidate Luka Garza in their third Sweet 16 appearance in the last 4 tournaments and the 5th total in Dana Altman's time at the helm. The Ducks will play conference foe USC. The Trojans have dominated in wins over Drake and Kansas. They've been led by the Mobley brothers and coach Andy Enfeld. Needless to say, this is shaping up to be one of the best games of the second weekend. Then there's UCLA. What started as an overtime win over Michigan State in the first 4 has ended in a Sweet 16 appearance after beatdown wins over BYU and Abilene Christian. The Bruins are led into their matchup against Alabama by the shooting prowess of Hami Jaquez Jr. and Johnny Juzang. I don't know how much further this team will go, but you can't deny the fact that they're a good team. And of course, there's the ultimate underdog, the Oregon State Beavers. The Beavers, who were mediocre at best this season, got into the big dance after a surprise win in the Pac-12 tournament. This team of sharpshooters has been led to easy victories by senior floor general Ethan Thompson thus far. Will their miraculous postseason continue against Loyola Chicago? I doubt it, but only time will tell. So there you have it, folks. March Madness has been insane so far. The following rounds are bound to be just as great. What are your thoughts regarding the tournament? Let me know down in the comments below, and until next time, keep ballin'.